Today we are really excited to bring you part 2 of Growing Up Amish. And I know a lot of you, matter of fact, at the time of this videoing, I think we've got well over 100,000, maybe 105,000 or so views on part 1. It's called just Growing Up Amish. And so we thought, we took that as a cue that maybe a few of you like to hear us talk about or are interested in our story of growing up Amish. So we thought we'll do a part 2 and let's share with our YouTube family just some more of the things that we grew up with and some of our values, some of our heritage. Maybe give you a little background of where the Amish came from and that.
Yeah, kind of share with you maybe what we actually loved about growing up Amish, and maybe some of the things that we decided were not necessary anymore.
Right.
So, and maybe also where the Amish actually started, and the movement that it was.
How they started.
Yeah.
Right.
So you go ahead and you say that if you want.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Let's jump in. So, actually, let me just back up to about 2003, May of 2003.
That was just before that was a year before we were married.
Right, yep, exactly a year. And most of our community, it's a long story, and maybe we'll have to share that in another video. But if you're really interested in hearing this part of the story, that is a long story, and we can't share it all with you, there is a video called The Inheritance. This tells you, chronicles the story of our community's trip to Switzerland in 2003. That was a powerful, powerful time, and it was one of those events that changed my life. It was an amazing time. But needless to say, we got to go to Switzerland through a group of dear friends that we met. They invited us over. They actually paid our way, the whole community, to come over, and they took us to these places where our forefathers walked. And I'll just continue a little bit more about that. So during the Reformation time, there was a man named Jacob Ammon, and there's a lot of controversy, good, bad, about him. I'm just giving you the history, the facts. I'm not saying good or bad. But this man named Jacob Ammon, that's where the name Amish comes from, his last name. And his particular view of things kind of started the sect of the Amish. So that's, in a nutshell, during the Reformation. And then eventually a lot of his followers came to America, first settling in Pennsylvania primarily, and then they became known as the Amish, or that spoke Pennsylvania Dutch, because they lived in Pennsylvania first. And again, as I explained in the other video, Dutch, we don't speak Dutch. It's not like Dutch at all, but it actually comes from the word Deutsch, which means German. So Pennsylvania German, and that's a language that we still speak today in our home. So there was many groups, more groups than that, but there was the Amish, there was the Mennonites, and there were others. There's the Hutterites. There's a variety of groups, but they're known kind of as an overall group called the Anabaptists, which meant rebaptizers, and the group primarily believed that they rebaptized adults upon confession of their faith. So versus the Catholic Church at that time, and I don't know, probably still does, baptizes infants, and they felt that you have to be able to confess your sins and to know your personal relationship with Heavenly Father, and then so they rebaptized, and that's why they're called Anabaptizers, rebaptizers, Anabaptists.
And if you read, or you can probably read books, or do research on that, those great persecution that broke out upon them, a lot of them died for their faith, and then a lot of them came over to America because of that.
The persecution, right? I mentioned in a video a while back about the Martyr's Mirror. Family work night at Grandpa's was the video, and I was going through some of Dad's things, and I saw that he had the Martyr's Mirror. and we actually have one as well. It tells the story of many Anabaptists that died for their faith. And so the Anabaptists had a really, at that time, they had a passion for knowing the Lord. They laid their lives down. Many, hundreds, probably even thousands. I don't know the number, but many people died in prison. They were drowned. They were burned at the stake, beheaded, and many other awful things. But they had a true passion for following the Lord.
Yeah.
And that, I guess, is what our heart is to follow the Lord in that manner. I mean, I don't know what they face. We have us in America now. We are in some cataclysmic times right now as we film this video, as you well know. We are in times that are writing history as we speak. Over the next months, history will rewrite itself. It's crazy what we're in, but we have not known personally yet laying our lives down in physically, like they have.
Like they did, yeah.
But our heart is to have the passion and the fire to know the love of the Father and to share it with others. And that is why we have this channel, to share the love of Jesus with you and to tell the good news of the gospel.
Yeah.
And just, we hope and pray that our lives would be an example of what it means, how it is to just live the life, the simple life. It's not complicated. People make it complicated, but the simple life of loving Jesus, and which just trickles down to your marriage. Priscilla and I have been married for 16 and a half years.
Yeah.
And we are much in love. Now, every marriage goes through tests and trials, and we certainly have as well. But it is wonderful. Priscilla is my best friend, and I love her so much.
Same here.
And we have 5 children, and I'm sure most of you know all that story. But anyways, getting back to
Growing up Amish.
there you go. Okay, so why don't you talk a little bit about, kind of take it from there. I did a bunch of talking already.
Yeah, so he kind of said where the Amish started, or why it started, but over the years, you know, I feel a lot of the Amish lost that passion and fire, and
commercial break. My dad is 86 years old. He'll be 87 this year, and he makes tons of apple cider and apple butter for our store. This is Dad's cider. It's really good.
It's very refreshing. Yeah. Where was I?
I have no idea. I'm so sorry. Over the years, the Amish lost their fire.
Yeah. And we just pray that comes back to the Anabaptist nation. And but what we liked about growing up Amish was, one thing was family. It was just, we grew up in big families. And now again, like everywhere else, there's bad things that happen in families, in Amish families. They're not perfect families by no means. But on a whole, the way I grew up, it was a safe place, and it was a wonderful place to grow up with a whole bunch of siblings and working and playing together. And one thing that was a great thing that brought a lot of stability was even just eating like 3 meals a day, basically, together around the table. Yeah.
And you mentioned some things we appreciated. We actually didn't appreciate them because we didn't know better, right? Until now, right?
Yeah.
That's how it is. So when you're little, you don't know if that's just the way life is. You don't know, are you wealthy, are you poor? You don't know.
Right.
That's just what life is. But if you have a safe place, like we both did in our families, thankfully, we enjoyed life. You know, life wasn't good, it was hard in a lot of ways. We were not wealthy, and we had, both of our parents had multiple setbacks. My dad's business burned to the ground, log home business, all his whole mill burned to the ground, lumber mill at that time, and a lot of things. That's another 5 video series on that. But but just until more recent years, well, I guess what Priscilla is saying is that you don't appreciate things until later in life, right? So like our children don't really appreciate what they have now, probably very much until they have children of their own.
Right, they don't even think about it.
Right.
It's just,
And that's okay. That's
yeah.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah. But now, yeah, I really appreciate the safe place I grew up in. And just, you know, we weren't, we didn't know much about the world at all. You know, there were no phones or cell phones or TV. We had no TV. And
no movies.
Yeah, no movies.
No
even.
electricity.
No, not for most of my life.
Right.
But then later on we had some. But yeah, so we had a great imagination when it came to play, and you know, we just thought up all kinds of games and stuff. And also the work ethic. We were taught to work, and maybe too much so, I don't know, but I am thankful for it. And yeah, we were just taught kind of a well-rounded thing of housework and outside work, and it was, you know, we just grew up with our parents, basically. I mean, we were there with our parents, helping them and seeing what they're doing, and so now I don't even think about it, but I realize that I have some skills and abilities that I just took for granted, but it's actually, you know, I just grew up with it, but I'm thankful for them now. So.
Right. And some of the other values that we learned growing up that the Amish still practice, and we still do also as a community here. For example, one thing that we thought of was we have meals together each Sunday. No, okay, not each Sunday. We have every other Sunday, right? So
right now that's what we do. Yeah, every other Sunday.
Every other Sunday, as soon as the services are out, we clear all the chairs. Put all the chairs to the side, we bring tables in, and then we set the chairs back up again, and we all have a meal together, and it is a full house. We're hoping to add on to this summer, but it's an enjoyable time. You get to sit across from people, and you share food together, and it's really special.
And that's what we grew up with, except we did it every Sunday. Every Sunday we had a big meal, which it was like what you call Amish church peanut butter. If you've not heard of that, I gotta show you sometime how to make it.
I'll have her do the recipe.
It's very easy, easy, but it's
So
really
good.
Weird. It's really weird. I don't know where it came from, but every Sunday we had Amish church peanut butter, sweet peanut butter, and it was so good.
And the Amish pretty much still do it across the board. Yeah. So what's an Amish meal? A church meal. So a traditional Amish church meal. Depends on the community a little bit.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. But so I'm talking more about old order Amish. That's where I came from. And what do they have?
Well, they have always have that peanut butter. They always have bread, of course, and then they have like sweet pickles and pickled red beets, and sometimes they will have meat and cheese to even go with that, and then. Often they will have noodles, like a chicken noodle soup, chicken noodles, and then they will have either cookies or bars for dessert, and always the hot mint tea and coffee.
Right, there you go. That's what they have, in water.
Yeah.
Yep. So that is. I mean, we still get hungry for that.
That's actually very special memories to me. We're always so hungry, you know, after church for that meal. So.
And a church service is typically. And again, this traditionally the way we grew up, church would start at 9 o'clock, and it would go till every minute of 12. Usually longer.
3 hours.
Yep, at least 3 hours, and we sat on benches
with no backs.
Yeah, no backs. Yep, just hard wooden benches that we made, and the wooden benches travel in what's called a bankwa. So it's a bench wagon. Sorry, bench wagon, and the benches, the legs fold up, so the bench wagon is all full of benches, and the bench wagon includes the benches and like all the songbooks and the Bible. A lot of times that the ministers use, I think, travels with that sometimes. And what else? Is there some certain amount of silverware and utensils and things like that go with it?
All a lot of Amish communities
trays and
do that.
Yep, and it all travels with it from house to house. So there's no
wherever the church is
at. The church is held each Sunday at a different people Amish family's home. They don't have a church house. Now here we do have a community center, and it's very nice because not everybody has houses big enough to hold all the people. So it's really nice to have a church building.
It is.
And it's hard on the mothers of the families.
Yes, they're big families, and when we knew we were going to have church at our place, we knew there was going to be a ton of work. We'd clean the house from top to bottom,
Right.
and clear away the furniture and put it to the side, and
It's
to
a
make
big
room for
job.
benches, and
Right.
But
And a lot of Amish families simply build big houses just so they can have church in their houses, which it's kind of unfortunate because there's not always finances for that. And a lot of them have it in the basement, maybe. They have a
Right.
full basement just so they can have that. Or some of them put up a shop just so they can have a space, because they have to have a space for their church services. Yeah. And then also, it depends on the community, but a lot of communities don't have, this makes no sense. See, here's the thing. Well, let me finish this thought first. They only have church every other Sunday. And then in between Sundays, they'll maybe go to another community's church.
some communities will do that.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on where. That depends. But that's how I grew up. We had church every other Sunday,
Okay, we didn't really grow up that
which
way.
is really weird.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. But
Yeah.
but here's the thing about Amish: there are an uncountable amount of unspoken traditions.
Yeah.
So like there is 1,000 traditions that are not written down, rules and traditions that are not written down, but they're unthinkable to transgress.
I guess kind
That's
of.
the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't know the rules unless you grew up in them.
Right.
You don't know the little nuances of the traditions, and there's no explanation. Like nobody could tell you why you would do something a certain way.
Most of the time there wasn't.
It's
anyone-
just that's the way you do it.
Yeah.
That's how you grew up. So, again, I think we want to just reiterate how much we love the Amish people.
Yeah.
And we still call ourselves Amish. And the Amish don't call us Amish because we look a little bit different. But like I mentioned in the other video, if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. And a lot of people that leave the Amish, they don't want to have anything to do with them anymore, and they want to start a new life. Don't look back, forget everything. And it's still who you are.
If you're not okay from where you came from, you don't have peace. There's not a
Right.
peace in you. But if you're okay, if you're if you're at peace from where you came from, there's just a peace that is over you.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, we love our people. We really, really do. And we're non-traditional. But again, that's another rule. That's one of those rules that the Amish, I don't know where the rule book is. Nobody has a rule book, but the rule says somewhere that you have to look a certain way, you have to dress a certain way to be Amish. Well, I don't know who made the rules because I don't think that's, I didn't write. Nobody explained to me that you have to do that. So we're just saying Amish is our heritage. We're not tied to it. It's just we're identifying with how we were born, how we grew up. The people that actually died for the faith, we're identifying with the value that was created,
Right.
with the blood that was spilled, and the hard work, the hard effort, the hard lives. We're just identifying with that and saying, you know what, that's who we are. That's our seed. That's where we came from, and we're okay with that. And so that's why we do what we do, and there's no spiritual merit in hard work necessarily, but it is part of who we are. That's our DNA.
Right.
It's a good way to raise a family.
And another thing we love about growing up Amish was community life. And although community life can also be stressful,
It's a two-edged sword.
because you rub against each other with you everybody's a different personality, but you learn to walk together. And we just did a lot of things together. We had work frolics, what we called frolics.
Work bees.
Yeah, what we would be a work
Yeah.
bee. We call them frolics. We'd just get together and we would help guys would help guys put up houses or barns, and the women would often get together, help each other clean maybe, or help each other can.
Or quilt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so those were wonderful times growing up, getting together, whole big crowd, just having, enjoying it. We would enjoy it, actually.
And that's something we don't do enough of in this community. I will admit that we actually long for more of that. Mm-hmm. It's just, we do that. We do that occasionally, but not like we quite, it seemed like when we grew up we did that a bit more.
Yeah.
And we would, just another memory that we would do together as a community, we would, because we didn't have electricity, we had what we were ice boxes, and I'm sure some of you elder people know what those are. They were basically like your refrigerator, with the door was at the bottom, and then there was a slot about this big on top with a door, and that's where you put the ice in, and then it would just kind of filter down through and keep your food cool. It wasn't very cool, but it was okay. It was better than nothing. And so what we did is we would all have a community ice making, and when the ice was about a foot to 16 inches deep, we would go out. We would take the horses and wagon. I remember this so well. It was cold, and we would go out, and the guys, the men and boys, would saw about square, probably about 12 to 16 inch square blocks of ice with the chainsaws. Mm-hmm. Then we'd have the ice tongs, and they would carry them and put them on the wagons. Then we'd take them to our ice house, and so we basically put sawdust down, put all the blocks of ice in there, more sawdust, and then we'd have ice all summer long. And then we'd take the ice. I remember I'd go back with my sisters, and we'd put a block of ice in a gunny sack and beat it with an axe and get it all put it into smaller pieces so we could put it up into our ice box. Mm-hmm. And we'd have to do that about two times a week, I believe. And so those were things that was another thing we did as a community, was make ice. We made ice. That's what we called them. Let's go make ice.
Yeah. Okay, so should we talk about some of the things that we thought were maybe not necessary? Or
Sure, we could do that.
So, as you can see when you see the Amish, they all pretty much look alike, or each community has their own set way of dressing, and so they're almost pretty much uniformed, and there was only a certain way you could make your dresses. You did not have many choices in how you made your dresses or your clothing. They had to be pretty much made the same way. There's a certain amount of pleats in your dress skirt, and certain amount of like puff sleeves, or just it had we had rules to go by. Mm-hmm. And so that thing was actually hard for me, because I was a creative person. I always wanted to do something a little different with my clothes, but I really couldn't, because that's the way we had to do it. And so what I'm thankful for is that I can actually express my creativity in my clothing. And my heart is to dress modestly, but I am thankful that I can actually dress a little bit more creatively. Which he doesn't really care about that part. He would dress the same the whole time.
I like it when she does it. But for me, it's like, okay, get this. I have pants that my mom made me when I was 18.
And he still wears them.
I still wear them. Okay, that sounds crazy. That's 22 years of pants. 22 years of wearing pants. Okay, I work hard, but Amish pants are made differently than any pants you can buy anywhere.
Well, it's the material.
It's the material.
Basically.
I don't know what kind of material it is. It's a type of denim material. It does not wear out. Mm-hmm. They just don't wear holes. The only things that eventually they do. Eventually. But I mean, when I grew up, my mom had always just patched my pants. I had patches going up and down both, right?
Yeah.
When I was dating her, I had patches on probably. But no, I mean, I'm just that way. I like old things. I like old wallets.
It's his personality.
Yeah, it's. I like things that are well worn. I know some of you can appreciate that. Some of you can appreciate her, and opposites attract, so that's why we're together. And now you can believe that there has been a little bit of friction.
Yeah.
She's always trying to dress me up, and I'm trying to say, hey, I don't need new shirts. Give me give me something comfortable to wear.
Yeah.
So
he wants comfortable.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Okay, so in 2004, we got married in June, and this happened about late winter, so probably February, March or so. For a while as a community, I think we probably need to do a video sometime, kind of the timeline of our community. That might make an interesting video. There's some stories to tell about our community. Our community started in 1992, so my dad started the community, our family did, so I've lived here since 1992. But in 2004, when we moved here, we were just very traditional Amish, and we farmed with horses. I farmed with horses and everything. So, but in 2004, we as a community decided that, after much thought and discussion, we decided that it's okay to start driving vehicles. And I actually did not want to. That might sound really strange, but at that time I felt like we were losing something that I felt, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I just got done telling about my personality. Right. So it was hard for me to make that adjustment, but I'm very grateful. I mean, life is so much easier with vehicles. We live up on a mountain here, and the challenge of going up and down with a bicycle or walking or a horse would just be huge. It'd just be astronomical. Like, I wouldn't want to live up here if we didn't drive.
Right.
It would just be too much to go up and down multiple times a day. It's quite a hill that we have to go down and up.
Yeah, it's an incredible blessing to have a vehicle. Now, I do miss sometimes the buggy rides. We take long buggy rides. You'd be in the buggy a long time because it take a long time to get anywhere. But it was a slower pace. That's one thing I wish we'd still have. But I do appreciate a warm vehicle in the wintertime.
She loves a warm vehicle. But as with anything in life, there is nothing, I don't think, that is just all good or all. I mean, everything all the choices that you make, there's value in it, and there's things that
are not so good.
Yeah. I mean, driving around a horse and buggy has value, but wait, there's a lot of not value in that as well. Just how you look at it. So it's not evil to drive a horse and buggy. It's not evil to drive a vehicle. It's just, I think the key is in all of life is to walk in peace and know where God has you.
Right.
I bless everybody that drives around a horse and buggy. Hey, that's awesome. But it's not for everybody. It just wouldn't work. So we're very thankful for some of those things that we have. We have electricity. We're very grateful for that. The way we grew up and the blessings that we have now, we're just very grateful. Like, I don't think that we would quite appreciate them maybe the way that we do.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, we come out in the morning and we hit a switch and lights come on. Like,
right.
That just didn't happen.
There's a sense of thankfulness or gratefulness for that, because we used to not have it.
Right.
But I'm also grateful, like in this time we're in right now, that's so, you're not sure what's going to happen, and we know that we could live without all these conveniences.
Yeah, conveniences. Yeah.
Without all of these, we know how to live without it if we have to.
And we actually have, just for that reason, we actually have a wood stove in the house. If we need to, we can cook. Now, we can bake. It's not a baking stove, but we can fry things and whatever. And we have heat, and then we have a pump with a well with a pump on it so we can actually have we can pump into our house, and we have cold running water in our house, so we can heat water with a wood stove. So it wouldn't be a comfortable life, but we could get by with it.
Right.
With some time, we have lots of canned food. Priscilla does an amazing job canning. If things would get even worse than that, there's much wildlife around here. I would never go and shoot something unless my family was hungry. But I'm just saying, in emergency, there's thousands of deer around. It's overloaded with deer. So there's food to eat. We have goats, so we can drink. We have milk. There's just a lot. The way we grew up helped us to understand that we could live if we needed to.
Yeah. So we should probably end this, but we hope this was interesting for you. So if you haven't watched our first one, Growing Up Amish, go and watch that. You'll probably find some more information in that too.
And we're still learning how to get better with making videos. I watched that video now, and I told Priscilla, who wants to watch that video? Oh my word, I'm embarrassed to watch myself. But so we're getting better.
Hopefully we are.
Hopefully, yeah. We didn't grow up with cameras.
No.
And we didn't even own a camera until, just before we were married, literally. We got our first little video camera when we got married. So it's kind of a new thing for us, but we do enjoy it a lot, and we're hopefully growing in it and getting better. So we're just grateful for each one of you that watches and comments.
Yes, we are.
And our channel is growing a lot, and we're just so grateful to each one of you. And it is getting increasingly harder to answer all the comments. We'd love to read them,
yes,
but we get a lot
all.
of comments.
Yeah,
we do.
Yeah.
And so we're just very grateful. We're very thankful for the kind, amazing words that you guys, comments that you leave.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Okay, until next time.
Yep.
God bless you.